The Great Battle of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, which we look back on today and realize that that was kind of a turning point in the war. That was early July 1863. Then the fall of Vicksburg, Mississippi, which then cut off this part of the Confederacy. So the general war, the Civil War, had gone on for 2 years. The Great Battle of Gettysburg, which began to kind of turn the tide toward the Union. And then an incident happened in Kansas City that more and more many of us tend to think may have been the final kind of precipitating event. In theory, Missouri was under the control of Union because they never officially left the United States. It was many people in Missouri were sympathetic to the South. Others were very much farther north. Missouri was just in total conflict and suffered terribly throughout the 4 years of Civil War and afterwards. But General Ewing, who had been appointed the head of the area, of the frontier, was very aware of these guerrilla groups, particularly the ones led by Quantrill. They had already attacked Shawnee in Kansas and Olathe. And so in order to kind of control these sons that felt that they were protecting their homeland, and they were being supported by farmers and farm families and relatives who gave them intelligence and food and shelter. And General Ewing decided he was going to put a stop to this, and he rounded up a number, about a dozen of the close relatives of some of the leaders of Quantrill's band, the sisters of Bill Anderson, some of the wives, and they were these group of young women. Many of them were put in a building that was about at 1409 Main Street, I believe, or Wyandotte. And that building proved to be insubstantial. There was a collapse of the building, and there's great dispute over exactly how that happened. But the certainty is that several of those women were killed and others injured, including sisters of Bill Anderson, who became one of the more notorious of Quantrill's band. And perhaps it was that injury to womanhood and close relatives that gave the impetus for the larger group of the guerrillas to be willing to ride all night behind Union lines and attack the city of Lawrence, which had come to be the symbol of what they felt was oppressing them and was destroying their way of life. So on August 21, or August 20 actually, Quantrill's men gathered in Johnson County. They rode across the border, and they had various guides along the way. Also, of course, the Lawrence people had later thought that they had many spies in the city. And of course, it was a porous border. People went back and forth all the time. And so the settlement of Lawrence, which was by that time was probably about 2,500 to 3,000 population. Many men had already been enlisted in the Union Army and were not even here. There were young and old who were here. The city, there were people that could have warned the sleeping city in the early morning, but no warning really came. And so Quantrill and his men rode in on what was known as the California Road, the old trail, and attacked the sleeping city about 5 a.m. on the morning of August 21, 1863.